All right, welcome. My name is Ben Miller, and this is a presentation on common fitness myths and misconceptions. A little bit of background about myself. Went to UW Whitewater, got my math and health teaching license. Went to Concordia, Chicago for my master's in educational leadership. Got my doctorate in higher educational leadership from Concordia, Chicago. I've written 5 books on health and fitness topics. Did my doctoral dissertation on the effects of exercise on math anxiety. I've been an endurance athlete for about 25 years, competing in track, triathlon, and road racing. Been teaching for 20 years, and I'm endorsed to teach in math, health, physical education. One of my main beliefs is to always take on a growth mindset. We always got more to learn, and when we take on that view, then we learn more and we grow as an individual. So we're going to dive right into this, some common myths and misconceptions with fitness. The first one is weight-bearing exercise is bad on the knees. The truth with that one is weight-bearing exercises make cartilage stronger, just like bones and muscles. The key, though, is provided adequate recovery is taken between sessions. In fact, knee joints are sturdier and less damaged. So what we know about this is that Wolff's Law with the bones says that the bones get stronger when they're stressed, as long as there's adequate recovery, right? Your bones and muscles actually get stronger, but recovery is very important. Now, cartilage doesn't have any blood vessels or nerves. So people believe that, you only had so much, and after you use so much, it got damaged, and then problems started to happen. But in a study that was done, what they found, and it was done in over 2,500 runners, they found that even though running compresses the cartilage and causes it to be flat, it bounces back within a few hours and actually bounces back stronger. So the people that actually have the higher risk of knee injuries are people that are inactive and overweight. They have more knee injuries, more knee problems than people that are active and at a healthy weight. So what we kind of learned from that is that make sure to take enough time to recover between workouts. Don't overdo it, but putting some pressure on your joints is actually beneficial in the long run. So walking, running, jogging, cycling, all that stuff, very beneficial for your knee joints. Trivia question, what do you think the answer is here? The answer is C, 50% of the bones are in the hands and the feet. All right, let's talk about lactic acid. So this is one of my favorite myths. We hear this one all the time. You need to get lactic acid out of your blood following a tough workout is a myth. The truth is that lactic acid, or more proper lactate, is not what causes muscle soreness or burning. In fact, it is actually used as fuel by the muscles. The sore feeling the next day is microscopic muscle fiber tears. Lactate levels in the body are back to normal 30 to 60 minutes after the workout. So lactic acid is actually extra fuel for your muscles once oxygen is not doing its job. Once the pace or the intensity is too hard for oxygen to provide the fuel, lactic acid kicks in. And it's not what actually fatigues us. It does go up when we work out hard or fast, but it's other things that are actually fatiguing us. And that's that very last point up there. Muscle fatigue and burning during high intensity exercise result from the accumulation of substances that impair the contractile function of the muscle. It's not lactic acid. Lactic acid is actually your friend. It's not a bad guy. It's actually called lactate. I have a bad habit called lactic acid too. Just make sure I'm still connected here. And I am. Good. All right, cardiorespiratory fitness and intensity. So the myth is that to increase cardiorespiratory fitness, your heart rate must be high. But the truth is that there are enormous benefits to performing cardiorespiratory fitness at just 60% of your max heart rate, which is conversational pace. So we talk about VO2 max, right? Stroke volume, the amount of blood leaving your heart with each beat, capillarization, how many capillaries you have in your body, as a pathway for the oxygen to move around, mitochondria development, lactate threshold, which is a strong endurance point. It's easier for a couch potato to improve VO2 max than an elite endurance athlete. So if a couch potato starts moving around, it's easy for them to improve because they haven't done much. It's harder for an elite endurance athlete or someone that exercises regularly to improve because their body is already at a high level. So trivia, what percent of your max heart rate does your stroke volume reach its maximum? The answer is B, 60%, which is conversational pace, by the way, the pace at which you can carry on a normal conversation while exercising. And you get enormous benefits to that. Capillarization, essentially, capillaries are like highways. I don't know about you, but I like a lot of roads, a lot of highways. to travel so I can get to my destinations faster. Well, capillaries allow oxygen to get to its destination faster, which your muscle cells as well. And your body builds more capillaries as you exercise more and more at just 60% of your max heart rate, which allows better oxygen transfer. And those capillaries also get help deliver oxygen to the mitochondria, which is better cardio fitness as well. So in just a few weeks of regular aerobic exercise, you can get a significant increase in capillaries, which helps optimize that oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange. Now, this is an interesting point here. Capillary development, mitochondria development, and heart strength is a function of time spent moving, not speed. So again, just exercising at that conversational pace is really beneficial overall, and it's underrated. When people talk about always having to have your heart rate high, the biggest rate of return seems to happen at just 30 minutes. So if you're wondering how long to exercise for, 30 minutes is a great amount of time to jog slowly, bike slowly, run slowly at just 60% of your max heart rate. You don't get the capillarization and the mitochondria development with strength training. And that's where that 60% nice, easy, slow really provides a lot of benefits. Elite endurance athletes have a muscle capillary ratio double that of the average individual. Let's talk about high intensity interval training and the heart. So, why does high intensity interval training help improve VO2 max? The intervals increase the stroke volume due to the blood that returns to the heart during the rest period. And the left ventricle gets larger, which increases the maximum stroke volume. And then the cardiac output, which is the amount of blood being pumped per minute, also increases and allows for better oxygen delivery throughout the body. So essentially, when you do an interval and you go hard for a period of time and then you recover, you get this big pool of blood that comes back to the heart. And then the heart has to deal with all that blood. The left ventricle gets larger, and that's known as left ventricular hypertrophy. And over time, that helps the left ventricle get a little larger and is able to then increase the stroke volume, which makes for better oxygen delivery. Let's talk about confusion versus habituation training. So the myth is that you want to constantly vary your workout structures to keep your body guessing. The truth is that your body responds well to keeping similar workout structures patterns on a similar cycle, then changing variables such as intensity or duration after several cycles are repeated. Hans Selye's general adaptation syndrome basically says that when you repeat the same stressor again and again and again, your body gets used to it over time. And that's what we want to do with exercise. Repeat the same workload for several weeks until it becomes a normal stimulus, and then we can change it. But we want to create those patterns and habits because it's beneficial as your body gets used to it, and repeating that for 4, 5, 6 weeks. And then you can start changing things, increasing volume, increasing intensity, and all of that. Let's talk about recovery. The myth is that there are ways to speed up the recovery process from a workout. And we hear this one all the time with all the recovery gadgets that people use and all that. But the truth is that recovery is a critical part of working out. You want to allow your body to recover completely so you get the greatest adaptation from the workout. Proper nutrients, rest, hydration, and adequate time will allow your body to get to homeostasis. So you want to ride the recovery wave. I always say recovery is part of the process of getting more fit. It's not a hindrance to training. It's part of the process, and we have to look at it that way. We have to take pride in recovery. So stress, recover, adapt. Why do you feel sore the next day after a workout? That's microfiber tears. But those muscle fiber tears will rebuild with nutrition, rest, and time. Remember, recovery is an innate process. There's nothing you're going to do to speed it up. The greatest adaptation happens when you recover completely. Just like when you pull a slingshot back, you're going to get the farthest sling when you pull it back up to an optimal level. The same thing with recovery. We want to stress our body out, give our body time to recover, and then we'll build fitness that way. But we can't think that we're going to be able to reduce the amount of time that our body needs to recover. Major nutrients, again, carbs, proteins, and fats, and of course the vitamins and minerals, which is why we want to consume lots of fruits and vegetables. Sleep is also very important. All right, so the myth here is that an ice bath will help speed up recovery. Well, that's actually partially true, but the truth is that an ice bath will desensitize muscle fiber damage, may make you feel better, but will reduce the adaptation you get from the stress. And that's the key point. Now, when we take an ice bath, athletes say they love it because it helps soothe muscle soreness, makes them feel better, right? This has been around for a long time. But basically, there's lack of evidence to support the use of an ice bath or cold water immersion during regular training. The only time that there's a benefit to it is if you have to compete in a quick turnaround. So if you're in a tournament, you got games, one at 8, maybe 8 o'clock, one in the afternoon at 1 o'clock. If you have track races within a couple of hours or a couple of days, then you may benefit. But it really reduces the adaptation of the training, and that's what you don't want due to the reduction in the anabolic pathways. So there's also risks to it, such as hypothermia, constricting blood vessels, making stiff muscles worse. Yes, it can help speed up recovery, but it reduces adaptation, which is the whole point of training. You want to get the greatest adaptation that you can get. And ice baths will stunt signals for adaptation. And it also makes blood vessels restricted, which those blood vessels and blood is going to be your natural repair and recovery. You don't want to do that. All right, so myths. The myth here is that a program such as P90X, Insanity, are excellent because most people just need to get moving. But the truth is that workout program plans should be tailored to the individual baseline fitness with proper recovery time built in based on the individual. So it should be highly based on the individual. And that's the problem with these programs, is that they typically don't take into consideration the individual fitness level. Some people can go hard more than others can. Some people get injured. And you really want to be very careful with that. So the workout program should always be tailored to the individual. Nothing that's just scripted that says do this and do this and do this, because everybody's recovery time is also different. And that's why there's a lot of injuries from these programs like P90X and Insanity. All right, so the myth here is that you always want to begin a training plan with low intensity before moving to higher intensity. The truth is that depending upon the individual and the goals, moving from high intense training to lower intense training may be more effective. And let's talk about this. We get into an idea called linear training versus reverse linear training. Linear training is when you go from a high volume of low intense to a lower volume of higher intense. It was discovered and used by the Soviet Unions to train their Olympic athletes. Reverse linear training is when you begin with high intense, low volume and transition to lower intense, high volume. Now, this can actually work for some people. And basically what you do is you go harder for less amount of time, and then you transition over time to going less hard, less intense for a longer time. And you can actually do that. Runners could use this, for example, to start with speed. They could build speed, and then they could learn to hold that speed for a larger fraction of time overall. And typically the one that you want to use is based on your goals. If you want to finish with what your goal is. So if you're like a marathon runner, you would want to finish with the higher volume of low intense. And you'd want to start the program with high intense, low volume. If you're running the 800-meter track race, you probably want to begin with low intense, high volume and finish with high intense, low volume. But the past history and the individual goals determine the best plan for the individual. Let's talk about water consumption and muscle performance. The myth is that you can never drink enough water. If you wait until you're thirsty, it's too late. The fact is the amount of water that you take in should equal the amount you lose. If something upsets this balance, you may have too little water, which is dehydration, or too much water, which is overhydration. In general, you want to consume half of an ounce of water per pound that a person weighs. So if a person weighs 160 pounds, that's 80 ounces of water. But if you exercise outdoors or on a hot day, you may need more than that. So you may need to go up to an ounce, right? You're well hydrated if your urine is clear or very light yellow. If your urine is darker, then you're less hydrated. When you drink too much water, your kidneys can't get rid of the excess water. The sodium content can become diluted, and that can be a problem. It can be life-threatening. It's rare, but it does happen in endurance sports. And a study that was done in the Boston Marathon found that 13% of the runners actually had that going on. Just want to make sure I'm still connected here. Looks like we are. All right, so the myth here is that you lose a lot of fitness over time. If you stop training, you're going to lose a lot of fitness. The truth is that fitness lost very slowly in well-trained people. And the more you train, the better fit you are, the longer you can actually go and you'll lose less fitness over time. Jack Daniels did a big study. 100 marathon runners had their muscles biopsied. They did no running for 87 days. 87 days of no running, and they had only lost 5 to 10% of everything they gained in a year. Keep in mind that's doing nothing for 87 days. So athletes can maintain both endurance and strength training by doing a lot less than people think. Real cellular physical changes due to fitness do not go away fast when you work out regularly. Now, strength and anaerobic endurance is lost much slower than aerobic endurance is. So 4 weeks can go by before any severe reductions in performance occurs. And you can actually maintain fitness real easily. So if you're on vacation, for example, and you got to stop doing your regular workout regimen, you can maintain strength just by doing bands and doing a variety of exercise bands for just, a couple minutes every day. You can maintain aerobic just by going out and jogging easy for 10 to 15 minutes. So you can just take a week or so, a couple of weeks, and just do easy things and hold on to a lot more than you would lose, even though you lose fitness very slowly if you're well trained. So I think that's something that a lot of people have in their mind, is that if they stop working out for a few days, they're going to lose a lot of fitness. Not true at all. As you age, detraining happens faster. The higher your training base, the less you lose. Those who have been training longer will lose fitness significantly less. Detraining does not happen until 4 weeks for strength and 2 weeks for aerobic endurance. All right, so here are the myths: is that the intensity of the workout should be based purely on the goal of the athlete. But the truth is that the workout should be based on the current level of fitness. So there's no shortcuts here. If you have goals, goals are great, but you're not going to get there faster than what your body can do. And you should always use your current level of fitness to dictate your training plan. So, for example, if you're strength training and you lifted X amount of pounds, okay, you have to use that number to dictate your workouts to get to your goals. And you shouldn't put yourself on a plan where by this time you're going to be doing this necessarily, because you don't necessarily know how fast it's going to take and how long it's going to take your body to recover and adapt and all of that. So improving fitness is very gradual. It's a biological cellular process, whether it's strength, whether it's cardiorespiratory, whatever it is. And we have to remember that there are no shortcuts. Nice quote here: one workout can change your day, many workouts can change your life. And I think that kind of ties into this, is that it's never just one workout, it's the combination of many workouts that make the difference over time. So the myth here is that you can burn a significant number of calories through the afterburn effect following a workout. The truth is that if calorie burning is the goal, the focus should be on increasing the activity level and taking more steps during the day. The afterburn effect is exaggerated big time, and we're going to get into that a little bit here. But the fitness industry loves to exaggerate that afterburn effect. And it's really the total calories that the workout burns that the person should be focused on if weight loss is the goal. So the metabolic rate is set by millions of years of evolution. Most people have a metabolic rate of 1,200 to 1,600 calories a day, right? The fitness industry exaggerates this. Recovery is an aerobic process and requires energy to get to homeostasis. Small acute increase in metabolic rate after workout does happen, but it's very minor. And the main calorie burn happens during the workout. So this chart kind of shows how quickly, that the body's metabolism goes back to normal following a workout, right? You're not going to be burning a significant amount of calories hours after the workout from this afterburn effect that they talk about. The afterburn effect is certainly real in the sense that exercise, especially high intense exercise, can affect your metabolism for a number of hours after the workout is over. However, the size of the afterburn effect, as well as the extent which it contributes to fat loss, has been really exaggerated. This is kind of a fun little one. Muscle weighs more than fat. The truth here is that muscle and fat weigh the same. 1 pound of fat equals 1 pound of muscle. The densities are different, as muscle is denser than fat. So the density, remember, is mass divided by volume. So muscle is more dense than fat, which is really what people mean. The myth here is that there are specific diets that you can consume to lose weight fast. The truth is the best way to lose weight is to create more of a metabolic demand for the calories you consume, which we get through physical activity and exercise. If a person starts a drastic diet, they're likely to be 5 pounds heavier a year later. So while they may get quick results, it's not going to last. So according to research, what is the most effective way to lose weight? The answer is C, consuming a caloric deficit of 200 calories of nutrient-dense foods. So diets for weight loss, both food quality and calories matter, right? If you eat good quality foods, there's less calories and more nutrients for your body. So it's like the double effect there. Weight loss is a simple issue, calories in versus calories out. The combination of nutrients means much less than actual calories. So when people talk about all protein or all carbs or whatever, it's the total calories that matter. A lot of times people are like when they go on a keto diet or an Atkins diet, it was beneficial for them because they consumed less calories because they went and stopped eating high sugary fast food and all that stuff. So we know that the protein goes to damage muscle. The carbs help fill our glycogen fuel tank. 3,500 calorie deficit is needed for 1 pound of weight loss. Quick results will not last. The best results happen when we lose weight at a rate of 1/2 to a pound per week. So I want to make sure I'm still connected. All right, the myth is that weightlifting will make a person big and bulky. The truth is it's difficult for anyone to put on lean muscle mass. So weightlifting will not make a person big and bulky. Now, if they consume a lot of calories, an excess of calories with the weightlifting, then yeah, they can put on more muscle. But it's extremely difficult to do. And if you're not looking to put on a lot of weight, you can eat so that your calories are within range, and then exercise will help make you more lean, essentially. The myth here is that sugar is bad, but the truth is that glucose, which is sugar, is the body's preferred source of fuel. Overconsumption of any nutrient, including sugar, can cause health problems. So reality is that all cells need sugar. There's no evidence to support that sugar is addicting. Okay, you'll hear people talk about that all the time. Granted, certain foods can be, but no food is just isolated sugar. So they've never done a study where they just ingest someone with sugar, right? There's no link between sugar consumption and cancer, although there is between obesity and cancer. Sugar is a preferred source of energy, especially during physical activity. The source matters. So if you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables, plant-based food, it has fiber, which helps slow down that sugar absorption to the body. So when are the two critical times for carbohydrate consumption? After a workout to help replace the carbohydrates that you lost, the sugar that you lost. And then when you wake up in the morning, actually, or you start your day to get your carbohydrates ready to go for the day. So if you're not very active, I'm not suggesting that eating like a ton of carbohydrates, but fruit, oatmeal, things like that to start a day, that would be the time to get some carbohydrates in. Eating high levels of added sugar is linked to obesity, diabetes, and we get those added sugars from soda, candy, fast food, and all that. So the myth is that sugar causes hyperactivity in children, but the truth is the majority of studies point to no link between sugar consumption and hyperactivity. The reason why kids tend to be hyperactive is because events where they eat sugary foods, tend to have other things going on, like games, someone's birthday party, stuff like that. So it's not ever proven that it's the sugar that's causing the hyperactivity. Could potentially be. They did a European Union did a study on artificial food dyes, and that can be linked to it. Lack of sleep can cause hyperactivity. That's been shown, but never with sugar. Caffeine and exercise. Basically, caffeine, like a cup of coffee before you exercise, can help reduce your perceived exertion effect, which basically means that you don't think you're going as hard as you really are. So there could potentially be an advantage to consuming a little caffeine before working out, but again, I would not overdo it. So the myth here is that low intense exercise for just a few minutes is not beneficial. The truth is that just a short workout regularly can go a long way. And I always like to do the math on this. If you burn just 100 calories a day for 5 days, that's 500 calories a week. 500 calories a week for 4 weeks per month is 2,000 calories total. 2,000 calories times 10 months is 20,000 calories a year, right? And that's assuming you took some time off. And then 20,000 calories a year times 10 years is 200,000 calories. Divide that by 3,600, the amount of calories in a pound. That's 55 pounds in 10 years. That's a big difference. So any type of exercise you can fit in, taking the stairs, 10-minute walk, even if you're watching TV, doing something during the commercials, jogging in place, maybe, while you're in the kitchen, whatever, can go a long way over the long period of time. So when people monitor the steps that they take and try to get extra steps during the day, I'm all for that. So what is 100 calories? 1 mile walk, 7-minute scientific workout. You can look that one up. That's just a quick workout you can do. That's full body, that you switch from one thing to the next every 30 seconds. Stairs, parking farther away, walking while on your phone. All of that can help burn an additional 100 calories. Myth, no pain, no gain. The truth is that to stimulate fitness improvements, some degree of discomfort is necessary. But if you're in pain, you're pushing too hard. True pain is an indication of an impending or already present injury. So you don't want to go through pain, right? Pain versus discomfort, there's a difference, but only do each workout to the intensity needed to meet the goals of the workout. So if you're trying to, improve something, don't go at a harder pace than you intended to. Always do the workouts at the least possible intensity that will help you meet the goals of your workout. And you don't want to put yourself through pain or anything like that. So foam rollers and lacrosse balls, let's talk about that. So the truth is that myofascial release occurs only when a manual therapist is able to get a different layer of fascia to move independently of each other. So while foam rolling does seem to be effective in short-term improvements in flexibility, long-term, there's no research to support that it does anything. So basically with foam rolling, it does help with perceived soreness. So it has benefits there. So again, I'm not suggesting not foam rolling, but as far as foam rolling for breaking up adhesions and different things like that, that's probably not the case. And so while foam rolling may provide short-term relief, there's little to no evidence that it provides long-term benefits. And I have a lot of information on this. So again, go ahead and foam roll if you like to. It does help with your perception of muscle soreness and all of that. But most likely it works with your nervous system to help with that short-term muscle soreness perception. Oh, I got a lot of info on this here. Okay, let's go to this one. Recess and letting kids play is a break from learning. The truth is that a few minutes of movement will put students in the right mindset for optimal learning, and it is part of learning, right? Dr. John Ratty's book, I'm sure many of you checked it out. They did this study on this. That's the brain after 20 minutes of sitting quietly. That's the brain after just 20 minutes of walking. So exercise can be any type of movement. And I always like to put on there that I was able to show in my dissertation that exercise helps improve people's perception of math anxiety and help people focus and do better in math class. And zinc in the cold, the myth is that taking extra zinc when you have a cold has no benefits. This kind of, we hear people going back and forth. The truth is that zinc has been shown to be effective in reducing the duration of cold and the severity of symptoms. And I'm going to kind of skip through this because I got a lot of info on this. But in a nutshell, zinc can have some side effects. So again, be careful. I always got to say, see your doctor for recommendations. But if you take it within 24 hours of the onset of cold symptoms, it may help reduce the duration of a cold. And I always like to finish with this, humans and visualizations. We as humans are animals, right? Our body does not know why we're exercising when we're exercising. It has no concept of what we're trying to actually do, right? Biological changes happen to put us in the best possible position for survival. So your body thinks you're lifting those weights or you're running because you're doing it for a survival reason. It doesn't know why you're actually doing it. And That's why we actually get more fit, because your body thinks that you're doing it for survival, and it says, gee, that was kind of hard. I'm going to make it easier on myself next time. And then you get those biological changes that happen. There's my info. You can always send me an email if you have any questions. I know I went through a lot of that kind of fast. Be more than happy to share the information and the research with everybody. Hope everyone has a great rest of their summer. And thanks again for watching. There's some of my books as well. I forgot about that. You can get all those books on Amazon. Or if you have any questions, send me an email. Thanks again.